to send the Thunder home. Lillard, long-range three.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Episode 62 of CO Sports Talk. I'm in New York City. Last week was in Indianapolis, but we're still here. Feels good to be back.
Sure does, man. Hopefully this video is up on a Monday. Because Casey's not gonna have time to edit before he sleeps because it is pretty late there. So yeah, I apologize for us being kind of less consistent with the uploads, but I mean we're still pumping them out weekly. I think that's all that matters. So yeah, this is a good one.
Sportals though.
Yeah, exactly. So as you've noticed, I posted a few midweek. I'm gonna do them Tuesday and Thursday, and kind of just like midweek episodes, just in case you're craving some CO Sports Talk. And so I'll post those, and I'll get one up Tuesday and Thursday, like I said. Yeah, I think those are really fun to make. So I'll keep making those as much as you guys want them.
Yeah, the consistency is nice too. Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then Sundays, Mondays, CO Sports.
Yeah, Sunday/Monday for CO Sports Talk. We actually used to film these on Saturdays. If you're an OG, you remember that.
First episode, Saturday and day during the Senior Bowl, 2021.
Yeah, Saturday, January 31st, I think. Yeah. So yeah, let's get into it. We're gonna talk some NBA playoffs and some NFL draft. That's pretty much what's going on, and some MLB early season. Guys, all the way back to the playing games. These were the 7A matchups in each conference to secure the 7 seed. The Cavaliers were down. Jarrett Allen this game, Kyrie Irving, great game, double-double. They handled the Cavaliers. It was kind of a blowout in the first half, but the Cavs made it close. And then the Clippers and Timberwolves, this game was really funny just because all the memes that came out of it. I mean, there's a woman who glued herself to the floor. This game did everything. Pat Bev was going crazy over a playing game. People memed him for that, but, I respect the passion he has. And I agree that he said he did it for Minnesota. Minnesota has not had playoff success. And so
anything.
Yeah,
anything.
Literally in any sport at all. And so, but especially these Timberwolves, man, and to secure the 7 seed, it's a really cool thing for the city. And it's a really young team with stars like Karl-Anthony Towns a little older now, but Anthony Edwards, D'Angelo Russell. So I was happy for the Timberwolves.
Definitely.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, definitely as well happy for Minnesota. I mean, that city has not had success in really anything. The Minnesota Twins, I think they've lost like 15 straight playoff games, like 9 of them to the Yankees. They always lose to the Yankees in a wild card. And Minnesota Wild, the Minnesota Wild, that's the capital of hockey all around the globe, and they still suck. So, good for Minnesota, and we'll get to what happened in their next playoff game, but it's looking good for them.
Yeah, exactly.
And for the Clippers, man, we'll get to what happened to the Clippers now.
Paul George coming back.
Unfortunate. They get COVID.
The Hawks blow out the Hornets. This game was never close. Trae Young had a great game, popped off in the second half, and was just the star of the night for the Hawks. And then Spurs Pelicans 9-10. Pelicans handled the Spurs. Spurs had a little late comeback. They went on a huge run, but they could not handle the Pelicans. So may have been Pop's last game, but we don't know yet. He didn't make it all. He didn't make a big fuss like Coach K, so we don't know.
Yeah, so the Spurs and Hornets, their season ends.
Yeah, exactly. Spurs and Hornets,
young team. And Spurs aren't too many. DeJounte Murray, little young star right there.
Yeah, my boy Devin Vassell, second-year player out of Florida State, drops 23. Not bad.
Man, so many FSU young guys are in the league right now.
Yeah, exactly. Terrence Mann, Patrick Williams, Scotty Barnes,
Jonathan Isaac,
Dwayne Bacon.
He's not really young anymore, dude.
Yeah, and Dwayne Bacon's probably like 28.
Back in my days, dude, those guys.
Yeah, those guys were nice.
FSU's like forward you.
Yeah, it's facts. Like small forward, underrated, 4th pick you.
They're not like very good when they're in college, but then they're just somehow lotteries because they're just really athletic. But,
exactly. So then the loser of the 7-8 games played the winner of the 9-10 games in their respective conference to take on or to get the 8 seed. and that happened to be the Hawks against the 7-seeded or the 8-seeded Cavs, and the Pelicans against the 8-seeded Clippers. And in both cases, the lower or higher, wherever you look at it, but the worst seed won the game, and the 9-seeded Hawks faced Miami, and the 9-seeded Pelicans faced the Suns. And so the Clippers went a whole season without Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard never played a game this season, so another disappointing team season for the other LA team. Both LA teams with disappointing seasons. And then the Cavs, I feel bad for because they had a crazy season. They were the 1 seed for a bit. There's defiant expectations, and they locked up the 8 seed, but couldn't make it out of the plan. So that's the downside of the plan.
Yeah, man, what a season though for the Cavs. I mean, they were kind of laughing stock of the league for a few years after LeBron left, and it looks like they've found a good group of guys, man. Lauri Markkanen, obviously, and then Darius Garland, kind of the main guys there, and then Colin Sexton. They even had Kevin Love still on that team. So
Kevin Love's in the top 3 for 6th man of the year, so he's kind of revived his career there too. And
that guy's probably one of the most tenured players right now in the NBA on a current team. Like besides him, and then obviously the Warriors guys, Clay, Curry. Who else would be the most tenured on the current team?
Lillard.
Kevin Love's Lillard of Trailblazers. Yeah, that's a good one. But Kevin Love's definitely up there.
Yeah, he is probably. I agree with that. Okay, then the first round started Saturday. The first game was actually Jazz Mavericks. Kind of like started at like 11 a.m. Kind of a boring game to watch. I don't find either of these teams that appealing, especially without Luka Doncic. When you talk about the Mavericks, he's still questionable for game 2. But the Jazz took this one in a low-scoring game.
This is a big win for them because it was in Dallas as well. So
yeah, exactly.
Utah, they show up when it comes to the playoffs. Their fans are passionate. So get ready for that.
Yeah. It's a boring series, but I think it's low-key. It's gonna be a sneaky good series.
So that's the 4v5.
Yeah, that's the 4-5. Mavericks
play the Suns. Okay.
Yeah, so winner plays the
Suns,
pretty much. And then we have a little bit of upset. 7-seeded Timberwolves take on 2-seeded Grizzlies in Memphis. Anthony Edwards drops 36, and the Timberwolves put up 130 points, including 41 in the first quarter, to take down the Grizzlies. And what a showing by these Timberwolves, man. They're shooting. We knew they could score the ball. It was just a matter of could they defend, and they didn't defend very well. But if you put up 130, you're not going to lose very often. So this team is talented, and I think they're sneaky to take the Grizzlies to 6 or 7. Yeah,
this game is a complete opposite of the last game we just talked about. 2 young stars going at it, Anthony Edwards and John Morant, 2 young guards. I guess Edwards has the list as a small forward here, but
yeah, he's a shooting guard forward.
Yeah, winger. But man, they both balled out. Both went 30 plus. Obviously Edwards' playoff debut. Morant, not his playoff debut. However, last year they made it after they beat Warriors in that playing game. But the Timberwolves, they were the better team. They scored and they didn't really defend, but it doesn't really matter. They scored 130. You rarely lose when you score 130 in the league. So good for them, man. Big win in Memphis too. Do you think they can win a series though? That's the question. It's hard to stay that consistent.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think if they can split in Memphis, that's a W for them. And then they go home.
They already did.
Yeah, they've already at least clinched.
Yeah.
Yeah, either way, or at least split. So that's good. And then Tyrese Maxey goes off for 38. James Harden was good as well. And the Sixers put the haters to rest, man. They dismantled the Raptors, who were a very popular upset pick, including me. So Sixers looked really good in this game. Everyone was doing well. All their stars dropped 131. So another really high-scoring game here. And there's another high-scoring game up here, but we'll get to that later. And then, Sixers look really good in this game. Tyrese Maxey, another young guard, pops off. It was a theme of this Saturday.
It was, yeah. And we've seen this series a lot recently in the playoffs. Remember that Kawhi Leonard buzzer beater back when he was in Toronto versus Philly? We've seen it's just like the last 5 years, these two have been in the playoffs probably every year. So good rivalry here. I'm enjoying this one. But yeah, a lot of young stars had a really good Saturday.
Yeah, and then speaking of another young guard having a good Saturday, let's talk about Jordan Poole, man. Drops 30, 7 and 9 from 3. The dude was just on fire in his playoff debut. the 22-year-old out of Michigan. And Jokic was shut down. I mean, he scored 25 points. Yeah, on 25 shots, that's not that impressive. So Jokic was not on his game, and I think that's attributed to Draymond finally being on him. Because when the Nuggets played the Warriors 4 times in the regular season, Draymond was not healthy for a single one of them. And so you see when Draymond's healthy, Jokic's production goes way down, and this team could not find much offense besides him. And this game was close in the first half. It was a 10-point lead for the Warriors at half. And then
Yeah.
the second half was all dubs. And yeah, this game was stretched to 20 at some points. I mean, it was a really good game for the Warriors. Steph Curry came off the bench in his return after missing the previous 12 games. He looked slow to start, started off 0 for 5, but then started to get going and ended up shooting like 5 for 13. So it wasn't not even that bad efficiency. But the star of the night and Klay Thompson was really good as well. But the star of the night was Jordan Poole, the young gun, dropping 30.
I think this really just shows, yes, Jordan Poole, unreal performance, but it shows how meaningful Steph Curry is to this Warriors team. I mean, they struggled so hard 4 weeks ago. I was so down on the Warriors. They were losing every game, no Curry. And then now it's just like, it feels like the old times, a playoff game. We haven't had a Warriors playoff game like this in a minute now. Not really a minute, but I don't know. It's been a few years since a big one like that. And, Curry, Klay, Draymond, and Andre Iguodala all playing on the same team again. But I got one huge complaint. I mean, Oliver and I have talked about it a lot. It just feels like a random Tuesday night game. No, it feels like an NBA primetime game Saturday. Why the hell do everyone in the crowd not have the shirts, man? I mean, I'll cue the pick right now, but the strength in numbers, yellow shirts, back in that 2015, 2016 NBA, prime NBA, it went so hard. Like, it doesn't have to be yellow. I know they gave them those black shirts in the crowd, but no one was wearing it. Like, we don't care about your Curry jersey, man. It doesn't feel like the playoffs if not everyone in the crowd's wearing it. And even teams around the NBA, though, like the Jazz, everyone wears those white shirts. It looks super cool. The Grizzlies, everyone should be in light blue. Pelicans, everyone's in that red. That's what makes the playoffs cool.
Exactly. And I agree with you. I think they put the gold-blooded shirts on every seat, but people just don't wear them. They'd rather show off their jerseys that everyone else has. So it doesn't create that sense of community that Oracle had. I think but obviously Chase Center is a much more, like, it feels louder in there, and it's a crazy venue. But yeah, I just felt like it didn't have quite a playoff atmosphere. I think that's also because it wasn't a close game in crunch time. I think if it was like a 2-point game with 2 minutes left, the crowd would have been much more involved. But I think they would have been involved in any regular season game. So I agree. I think the shirts are a big part of the playoffs, and they were missing that.
Just like a feeling you have when it's playoffs versus the regular season. It's over, like in the NFL, it's just that weekends, it's wild card weekend. The NBA, it's those shirts, but it's honestly just the color too. Yellow just looks so cool when everyone's in unison. The black shirts, I don't know, it just looked.
Yeah, I agree.
But whatever. I mean, prime NBA though, 2015, 2016, you get off summer break, starts Cavs Warriors every single time it happened. Game one, remember when J.R. Smith goes the wrong way in game one? Yeah, man. A lot of memories of Cavs Warriors.
Yeah, we ended up sweeping that series anyway. All right. Yeah. And then here is the Sunday games. So we're caught up. So this game was just made final, by the way. This is the last game. Suns take game one. But let's start at the beginning, which was Hawks Heat. Didn't catch this game because I was watching the Giants, but Duncan Robinson, from what I heard from my friends and looking at this right here, was popping off. So yeah, the Hawks couldn't handle the Heat. I picked the Heat to sweep, but I feel like in one game, Trae Young could go nuts and they could steal a game in Atlanta or something. But the Heat looked really good, and I think they're like one of the most underrated 1 seeds to date. I don't hear anyone talk about the Heat, and they made it out of a pretty tough Eastern Conference this year. So.
The Heat aren't like sexy, but they're really good. I mean, they proved it today. The Hawks were amazing in the first 2 playing games. They scored tons of points, and they just shut them down today. Shut Trae Young down, and I think they'll get a gentleman's sweep. Yeah,
I think so too. And then the next game was this. Oh, it's actually in order this time. The next game was the Nets Celtics game, and man, what a game! Game of the weekend for I think both of us. Kyrie Irving was phenomenal. He kept hitting tough shots. even though the crowd was heckling him, which honestly, I understand their hate from Kyrie. I think I do. I just think it's a bit lame booing him every single time he gets the ball. I think booing him in lineup introductions, that's cool, but it's just kind of like overdoing it. Plus, it's
Hey
not
man,
working. It's not
you're a
working.
Boston sports guy. You're a Boston sports guy, man. You can't be hating on your guys. They're just passionate. That's
I
what
don't.
they
I
do,
really
man.
don't. I really don't like Celtics fans, and that's kind of hypocritical because Celtics fans are Patriots fans as well. But yeah, Patriots are the only Boston team I like. I'm not a big fan of the Celtics, but they they did play really well, and I like Jason Tatum. I like Jaylen Brown. Don't like Marcus Smart, but you know it's
Dude, he's one of the most tenured guys, actually. He's
yeah.
up. He's
Drafted
up
like
there. He's just
14.
finagled his way to like stay on the team forever. Everyone's always talking about him getting traded, and he's somehow just stayed on the team for like good 7 years now.
Yeah, fact. Yeah, Marcus Smart. Well, lifetime
But
Boston Celtic,
what
and
a
so
game this was, though. I mean, prime time. I'm in the East Coast right now in New York, so obviously this was just as twilight was happening, and man, this was a really good game. Kyrie Irving, though, I mean, it is cool to have him back. Him and KD, at first I was like, how are they going to get along? As you can hear the New York sirens in the back, I was like, how are they going to get along? KD, Kyrie, it's kind of like a dad when the family gets a dog. The dad's not really for the dog. However, then they slowly grow apart, and the dog's favorite member of the family becomes the dad. And that's how it was with KD and Kyrie. As a little Colin Coward analogy I just made up. But KD and Kyrie now seem to be getting along pretty well. Shout out Ben Simmons, who's just on the bench, just hyping everyone up.
I still don't understand why he's not playing. Like,
Yeah, we got to ask Bucher.
the fact that he didn't play for a while and is not in shape. I don't know, but they said he'll be back in targeted games 4 through 6. That's assuming they make it to 6 games. Who knows? But I mean, I could watch 7 games of this series all day. I mean, that was really fun.
That was great. It's just two East Coast big cities going at it. Boston, New York, to hate each other already. I mean, this is just a really good series.
Atlantic. It's kind of like Warriors Lakers, man. It's really fun to watch. Both headed by dynamic duos, and yeah, so this was fun. And then another sweep I picked was Bucks over Bulls. Bulls came out really flat. They ended up being a pretty close game, but in the first half it wasn't so much. And so yeah, Bucks took this one 93-86, really low scoring game, but Giannis was dominant. Vucevic was barbecue chicken in the paint. I mean, he could not handle Giannis down there, and Giannis drops a double-double. So the Bucks look really good. A lot of people's favorites come out of the East as a 3 seed, and it seems rightfully so. I mean, with top 3 MVP guy and Giannis on your team, it's hard to count them out.
DeRozan, Levine, and Vucevic, it's kind of a little big 3 they had. They were all in double figures, all played pretty well. But yeah, you're right. They were kind of flat, and they need a bit more depth. I mean, those 3 producing right now are kind of it. They had White off the bench, who did pretty solid. But Patrick Williams only had 5 points, and Caruso somehow started, and he only had 7. So, yeah.
Yeah. And then it's another game I did not catch right here. The only game I watched today, honestly, was the Nets Celtics game.
It's all right, man. It's all right.
Yeah, it's all right. But the Suns took this one as expected. They've been so dominant. Chris Paul looks like had a great game, double-double, almost triple-double. And yeah, dropped 110 on the Pelicans. I was checking the scores though throughout, and the Suns were kind of beating them up. But Pelicans looked like they made a kind of a late run in that third quarter, and yeah, but it wasn't enough to defeat these Suns, as they proved that they're legit, man.
Oliver, I want you to rate these big 3s because the Suns have a really solid big 3 with, Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and DeAndre Ayton, young, medium, a little older.
And you can add McCall to that too.
Yeah. So, and then I want you to rate it with Curry, Clay, and Draymond, all a bit older. Which big 3 you like better? And what you will add into the mix, James Harden, Joel Embiid, and Tobias Harris. Also add in.
I'd say Tyrese Maxey at this point.
Also, that's true. Yeah. And also in the Chicago big 3 that I just mentioned, and Kyrie, Ben Simmons, and KD. Which big 3 do you take?
In terms of talent, or like
we'll do 2. One talent, and then one that you want on your team that you think most likely can win a championship.
If I'm going championship, I'm taking that Warriors big three all day because they prove they can do it.
They've already done it
Chemistry,
4
they've been
times
yeah, exactly.
or 3.
They've won 3, been to 5, and 5 in a row, which is just crazy.
That was, dude, they had a little dynasty going.
Yeah, that's a dynasty. And yeah, they played together for a decade in the Bay. So that's a non-biased take, and I think that is non-biased. I think most people will say that.
And talent.
Talent-wise, Chicago's up there, man, which is crazy because that's the big three I'd at least want to win a championship.
Yeah, it's true.
But I would say talent-wise, I would take that. Either Philly or Brooklyn, probably.
I'd take Brooklyn. I mean, just because
Brooklyn. I just don't know what Ben Simmons is going to look like
with the off the court issues. You got Kyrie, probably one of the best guards. I mean, today it's unreal. One of the best point guards out there. You got KD, in my opinion, still the best player in the NBA, and you got the best player in the NBA if there's no basket in Ben Simmons. So, yeah, I like that next one. But I agree with you on the Warriors one and the Suns one. Don't cut them out. They made the championship last year.
Yeah. That's facts. Suns, sneaky team too. Well, they're not very sneaky anymore, but last
it's
year
just they're in like a lower market, so they don't get the same.
Their dominance started at that late bubble run.
Yeah, it did. They went 8-0 and didn't make the playoffs.
Ever since then, they were good, but
there we have some NBA talk though.
Yeah, we got some good MLB NBA action. So let's talk some.
Yeah, I start to get into the NBA when the regular season ends. So I'm into
it. I kind of think the NBA regular season is a bit of a joke. I still watch all the Warriors games, but I just think it's annoying how all the stars want to sit out all the time. They need to shorten it to like 70 games ish.
Yeah, I could say that, but I mean, I watch all. It's funny because I watch all 162 Giants games, baseball, and I don't see it like that. And there's only 82 baseball games or NBA regular season games, and I see it as a long season. So it's just weird how it works. But I love the NBA playoffs, and we're into it now. So everyone get into it, and we'll see y'all next week to talk about some NBA.
Exactly.
Mock draft time, ladies and gentlemen. We're just doing the first 10 since we still have a few weeks till the mock draft. Give you all a good idea. Oliver and me are just going to rotate until the pick, which is the Jets.
Yeah, and you can go. You can go first if you want.
Oh, okay. All right. I will go first, ladies and gentlemen, with the first overall pick of the 2022 NFL Draft. I have the Jacksonville Jaguars taking Aiden Hutchinson. Yes, I know it's chalk at this point. However, Oliver and I were just talking about this. Although he's not more athletic, he's probably not a better player than Kayvon Thibodeau. It's just the safer pick due to the fact that he has much more college experience. Kayvon was really only at Oregon. There's 3 total, but 2 years because the Oregon his sophomore season was only 3 games. But yeah, Kayvon definitely has better upside, but I just think Aiden Hutchinson's a safer pick right now, and the Jaguars need to go safe. And Oliver, I think, has the same thing, so I'll explain a bit more why.
Yeah, so I have the Jaguars taking Aiden Hutchinson, and like Casey just mentioned, he's less athletic, but he's sneaky athletic, and I hate using that term, but he is sneaky athletic. You saw him ball out the bench press, ran pretty fast, and so, but he's just way more polished as a pass rusher than Kayvon Thibodeau is. Thibodeau is just really, really freakishly athletic, super long arms, fast, and has the most upside in the world. But Aiden Hutchinson is shown a lot more production in college, whereas Kayvon Thibodeau has left a lot to be desired in the production area, and I can see Thibodeau dropping all the way to pick 7 or 8, because that's where I've seen a lot of mock drafts have him go 5 nowadays, and so he used to be the consensus number 1 pick. I'm not sure if it's prospect fatigue and it's just people are tired of hearing his name, so they drop him down. I don't know what teams think about him, but I can see him going this range over here, but we'll get to that later. Let's go back to you for the Detroit Lions.
With the second overall pick of the draft, I like the Detroit Lions grabbing Malik Willis, quarterback from Liberty. I think that this is going to be a little bit of a surprise to most people who expect Kayvon Thibodeau to go to it too. But honestly, I think that, they obviously need a quarterback. Jared Goff will still start the 2022 season, I think, and do a solid job. He was solid last year. But I think Malik Willis, you just got to take him if you're the Lions at this point. This isn't a deep quarterback class at all. And with the second overall pick, you should take a guy like Malik Willis, who has unreal upside, is a little bit of a mystery, but we've seen so many mystery quarterbacks become stars in the NFL. And we haven't seen guys like Malik Willis make some of those throws he's made in training combine, all of that. And I think that there's a high chance they can do this. Kayvon Thibodeau, I don't know. It's a little bit risky, same as Malik Willis, to be fair. But I just like him to take Malik Willis at 2 here and have him sit behind Goff and learn for a season.
Yeah, and man, me and you are on the same wavelength today because
Wow. I did not expect you to have that.
taking
And we
Malik
did
Willis.
not talk about this.
No, we had zero conversation about this. But Malik Willis, second overall pick. I think this dude's upside is like unfathomable, and on a pretty weak quarterback class to grab the top guy with the second overall pick. And bear in mind, the Lions pick again at the end of the first. So,
Yeah.
Sorry, I couldn't see it because our face cams were in the way. Lions pick again. So if this doesn't work, they can get another player
Right.
at another position.
They can take their edge then.
Exactly, because this such a deep edge class, and same with tackles, that if you want any of these guys, like you have Arnold Ebiketie who gets first round hype, David Ojabo gets first round hype, Cameron Thomas has gotten first round hype. Then they've got these tackles, Penning, Raymond, Daniel Falale. I mean, these all guys I've seen go in the first round. So you can snag these guys at the end of the first, and you're chilling. So I think it's great to grab a quarterback in this spot and a guy who could be your franchise quarterback, and just, if you want to sit him behind Goff for a year, you can do that, or you can start him right away. Have them, have a little competition in training camp. Who knows? So I think this is a great pick if the Lions do it, but yeah, may not happen. So
Yeah, they could just take it safe. At 3, I think this is between Ahmad Gardner and Kayvon Thibodeau. I mean, I do like them ended up going with the best available pick in Kayvon Thibodeau at 3 for the Texans, though. I mean, we've already touched on him enough, so I won't say more. But I like them taking Thibodeau, just best guy available.
okay, yeah, that's fair. And a guy that a lot of teams are high on, who I'm personally not that high on, so I wouldn't make the pick, but it's a guy that has been flying up draft boards. Wasn't even seen as a first round prospect at first. Tested really well, but he's flown up draft boards, and that's Trayvon Walker out of Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna take him the 3rd overall pick. I think he's a bit overrated, but again, freakishly athletic and has all the tools to become a great pass rusher in this league. It's just a matter of if he gets that production. So
Reminds me of like Jalen Phillips from last year. I mean, he reminds me of 3.
No, he reminds me of Cleveland Ferrell.
Oh, and that did not work out.
That did not work out. So we'll see. But I think he'll go at number 3.
God, everyone loves their edges in the NFL. Sorry. Ooh, that's loud. And at 4, for me, this is no brainer. Evan Neal. I mean, the Jets might as well have to pick him up, and they create a really solid O line once they get Evan Neal here to protect Zach Wilson. Mackie Beckman, Evan Neal, and then Elijah Vera Tucker, who had a little bit of an offseason last year, but I think he'll be able to recover. So good pick.
Yeah. And at the 4, I have them taking Ike Ekwonu out of NC State, who I just think is so versatile. And you have 2 guys in Mekhi Becton and Vera Tucker you've taken, and this can solidify a really, really good, agile, young offensive line. And you can place him at either guard or tackle, and he's just a mountain there wherever you put him. So I like Ike Ekwonu in this spot. But Evan Neal would not be that pick too.
Both have tackles, yeah. At 5, I think a lot of people are going to think Giants will go tackle here. I mean, I initially wanted to have them take Akeem Anawi, as you just had, but I'm actually going to have them take Trayvon Walker, the edge, just because we saw them take a tackle a few years ago in Andrew Thomas. I don't think they're going to take another one. I think they'll load up on the edge spot and take best player available at this spot.
Yeah. And I'm also thinking edge this time. This is where I have Kayvon Thibodeau go off the board.
Gotcha. So we have the same 5 players right now, just different orders.
Yeah, same 5 players, different orders. No, well, I don't have Neal. You don't have Ekwonu.
You're right.
Other than that, it's the same 5, just different order. And I think if he falls to 5, that's a gift for the Giants, especially because they pick at 7. They're between tackle and edge, and so they could potentially grab both. But we'll see what I do with Carolina's pick right there.
This is a really interesting pick because, I mean, obviously quarterback, everyone's saying Kenny Pickett. But the question for me is, are they going to make a move at Baker Mayfield? Because it's very much rumored. Obviously, Robbie Anderson Not a fan of that, as we saw from some of those comments Robbie made. But so if they go for Baker, I do not think obviously they're going to trade Kenny. But with what Robbie Anderson says, I think they won't. And I think they're going to draft Kenny Pickett at 6. So I like that. And obviously Pickett, one of the most interesting players, small hands guy, but still a really solid player, mobile QB, had a solid combine. I think that the Panthers fans will like. I mean, the Panthers haven't drafted a quarterback since Cam Newton. So
Yeah, and I think this is definitely a potential quarterback spot, but Evan Neal's falling into your lap, and that's a top need for them. So I think Evan Neal would be a great pick for them here. And it's been mostly tackles and edges off the board besides Malik Willis, but that's where this class shines.
the Giants are picking again, which is huge for them, and that's where I just think they'll get their offensive tackle. I mean, they'll take Akeem Ekonu, but that's a huge get. I mean, if you're going to get him at tackle, we just talked about getting, so they would have Phillips and Akeem Ekonu, so that'd be big.
Yeah, and I think they could definitely go tackle here. Charles Cross, very good pass protector here, but I'm often taking Kyle Hamilton, and I think Kyle Hamilton has gotten a lot of. He's definitely fallen down draft boards recently after people have looked at his tape more. But I still think he has such tremendous upside and he's such a talented player that he could go right here. And I think it would be a good pick for the Giants, and especially 2 picks in 5 and 7. They can afford to take a shot at a guy that they're a little unsure about. So I think Kyle Hamilton would be the pick there for the Giants.
Yeah. All the talk regarding, Kyle Hamilton is absolutely ridiculous. He's the best player in this draft, in my opinion. And I mean, this isn't what I would do. This is what I think will happen. So that's why he hasn't gotten yet for me. And with the Falcons, I mean, their quarterback situation is kind of up in the air. They signed Marcus Mariota. Will they draft someone? I don't necessarily think so in the first round. I actually have them taking Drake London here. In my opinion, the best overall receiver in this draft, and I think they'll take him.
Fair enough. And I think someone who works perfectly with Atlanta, put him on the other side of AJ Terrell, and you got a crazy cornerback duo, and that's Ahmad Sauce Gardner. Perfect fit in Atlanta for me. And yeah, I'm liking my draft so far.
Definitely.
But that's what we got. Yeah.
My 2 favorite players right now haven't been chosen, actually, Ahmad Gardner and Kyle Hamilton. But at 9, they really don't need that much secondary help for the Seahawks. The Seahawks are in an interesting situation right now. I personally have the Seahawks about the offensive tackle load and go Charles Cross from Mississippi State. Big pass protector right there. And I mean, they do need a quarterback, Oliver. However, I mean, Drew Lock, whatever, he could help. I think it's similar to the Panthers from last year, where they're going to go QB. They just traded for Sam Darnold, and they did not. They took J.C. Horn, so I think they will not go quarterback. Yeah. I think that was the 9 spot too. Maybe.
Yeah, no, I have the exact same pick here. I have Charles Cross going. The 9, to the Seahawks, they need offensive linemen more than anything, but this team is definitely rebuilding mode. They might have a top 3 pick next year, and that's when they can snag a quarterback. This team's going to be pretty bad this year, I'll tell you that much. So, yeah.
Yeah, and next year is one of the best quarterback classes right now to look at it. A lot of juniors in college next year that are going to be really good.
Casey's going to have one of Kyle Hamilton and Ahmad Gardner not go top 10. See who it is.
Yeah,
but I think Kyle Hamilton could fall to like 13. I do.
Yeah. So at 10 for me, I like Kyle Hamilton to go. I mean, this is the best overall player in my opinion. We've seen him to the Jets a lot in mock drafts, and I think this would be an absolute steal for the Jets to get him at 10.
Yeah,
we saw Jamal Adams go to the Jets a few years ago as safety in the first round, but I think they're very different players. One's more of a strong safety, one's a free safety. So I think Hamilton stick around. He's not a blitzing guy. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And then finally, I have my first receiver up, which is Garrett Wilson. And I think Garrett Wilson's going to be a really good receiver in this league. I know a lot of people are really high on him, especially teams, Jets in particular. I've seen him mocked at 4 to the Jets. And so I think if he falls to 10, because I don't think many teams are going for receiver here, I could see the Giants potentially, not the Panthers, maybe Falcons, and then maybe Seahawks. But I think they're the biggest need is the Jets for receiver. And so grabbing Garrett Wilson at 10 would be a steal. Drake London is also in play here, but I think that Garrett Wilson would be the best pick for them.
Yeah, I mean, this is fine.
Yeah,
I think we
let's like
both have a
talk.
good group of 10. I mean, I would have Ahmad Gardner probably going to the Commanders at 11. Maybe Jameson Williams, actually, they could take a little risk on, even though he had the ACL.
Shout out Luke Young. We almost had him on today, but something came up for him, so they're rain checked.
Yeah, whatever that
That
means.
is, and so he'll be on next week for the mock draft. We think. Well, he'll
Yes,
be on,
sir.
but I don't know about the mock draft. We'll see. And yeah, so before we wrap up, let's just talk a little Giants.
All right, MLB. It's been like 2 weeks now. No, not quite. A week,
11
actually.
days.
Yeah, 11 days was that Friday. But it's getting good. Our Giants looking really good. But let's just go division by division very fast because it's Monday morning now for me. But let's start it off. AL East, the Blue Jays still looking good, 6-4. But Oliver had this take about the Orioles, and I know they're 3-6, but they just beat the Yankees in the series. So I don't know.
Yeah. We'll put up the tweet, but that was a W tweet from the Orioles social media team calling all Yankees fans bandwagons, which is funny. But yeah, this is a very competitive division. I mean, these teams are beating up on each other, and that's exactly how we expected it to be. All these teams being kind of even, and maybe three, 4 teams making the playoffs, which is just crazy. So
Indeed.
yeah, the Guardians started out super hot. Giants just swept them.
They were
So
4-2.
yeah, they were 4-2. Now they're 4-5. They had the number 1 offense of the league until the Giants let up like 4 runs in 3 games, something like that.
Shout out Luke Runner, a person from my school. He said that Jose Ramirez is the best hitter in the MLB right now, and I think this is true right now.
I don't hate this because if you look at this, Jose Ramirez, man, this guy is balling out. You look at his stats, like he is just balling, bro. He already has, I think, he already has 15 RBIs, leading the
No,
league in
yeah,
RBIs, 16 hits, batting 457, 3 home runs. He's
and
only started out twice.
he's been consistent now for the last 6 years. I mean, 2017 he batted 318. 2013 he's been on Cleveland. Cleveland fans love this guy because he's loyal to the Guardians.
He wants to
I
be there
mean,
for the rest of his life. He just signed an 8-year
I
extension.
respect I respect that, and he just doesn't get that much attention for some reason. I don't know if it's a small
He's on
market
a
in
Hall of
Cleveland.
Fame. He's on a Hall of Fame track right now because he's finished like top 3 in AL MVP voting for the last few years.
He's
I
a
mean,
really
this
good
guy's
player.
solid.
And
Yeah.
he's starting off really strong, but they obviously got swept. And the Giants looking really good. Brandon Belt is actually playing on out of his mind. Jock Peterson as well, but Brandon Belt right now, I mean, looking like an NL MVP front runner right now.
MVP at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
My
seems like he's
my
and
yeah, go
Brandon
ahead.
Belt. Like there was always wars about Brandon Belt, whether you like him or not, but the wars have stopped because everyone's agreeing that Brandon Belt is legitimately playing really well.
Yeah. My AL MVP few games this season is Jose Ramirez. And then the Royals and Twins. Twins have a Johnny Macker's not gonna like this, but the Twins have started off in the base. And they've just been disappointing. Carlos Correa has not got it going yet, and this pitching doesn't look too good. And then
That was
AL,
tough seeing Brian Buxton get hurt too.
yeah, Byron Buxton, man,
Derek Rose of baseball.
yeah, it just sucks. AL West, Rangers have been terrible so far, which surprised me. I'm not gonna lie. I thought they would be pretty decent with Seager and Simeon. But the A's have been the surprise for me. It's not even the Angels leading the division; it's the A's who are somehow 500 with this roster they have, and they just find a way, man. That's the
They
Oakland
just
Athletics.
find a way, dude. That's
They,
unreal.
they lead the league in runs scored with a pretty terrible offense on paper, but this team, despite the owners' stubbornness, they continue to not care and they put up runs and they win games, and I really respect that from the A's. And they're hanging in there with this division so far, tied with the Mariners and the Astros pretty much because Astros have played one less game. And the Angels, man, they just went in and I think either swept the Rangers or won 3-1 or 2-1. But
Dude, yeah, the A's are just like a middle-aged dad finding his way, to the hardware store on a Saturday afternoon. They just find a way to win. And this division is so compatible. They're like the Red Sox from last year. And that team was not too stacked, and they just somehow won. Even the Giants, but this team's even worse talent-wise, and they're finding a way to win. And
yeah,
honestly, we kind of gave their GMs some crap last week, but I mean, Billy Bean, he's selling all these players every year, but they're still finding ways to win. Cheapest person out there, but I mean, he looks smart. And yeah, the Mariners a little bit shaky, but yeah.
Yeah, and this kind of reminds me of the AL East, but then AL Central's just dominated by the White Sox. Second place is a losing record. It's kind of, I mean, I
Yeah.
call this the weakest division of baseball, and it's kind of turned out to be true. Let's go to National League really quick. Mets have started off strong, but they haven't played very strong competition so far. They played the Nats, Phillies, and Diamondbacks. And the Nats and the Diamondbacks are two of the worst teams in the league. So it's whatever. Phillies haven't started off too hot either, as the Marlins just won this series against them. Marlins sneaky team, by the way. Watch out for them. They play the Giants super well. And
Jacob Stallings.
yeah, Jacob Stallings, man, Giants killer.
I went
But
to the Mets game yesterday, and they lost to the D-backs. However, they're still really solid. They won the series, so really solid. Lindor, Pete Alonso, Starling Marte, huge signing. He hit a bomb yesterday. Really good player. And along with Jeff McNeil, who's still somehow producing. So this is a really good team. And Mark Hanna's on the COVID list, so don't get them twisted. Just their bullpen choked. Seth Lugo gave up a jack to some no-name D-back player.
yeah, and the NL Central. Look who we have here in second place. Pittsburgh Pirates have a winning record, man.
I called it.
The Reds are terrible. They just got 4 games swept by the Dodgers. Didn't do us any favors there. Thanks a lot, Cincy. And then the Brewers, very slow start. Starting pitching has not been as dominant as we saw last year. And the bats, as expected, are just not there. Cubs have been actually a bit surprising for me. Seiya Suzuki, already 4 home runs. He looks like a great signing. Looks like he was worth that money. He looks really good. Cardinals look good, but kind of a mid division. And then the NL West, best division of baseball so far, I think.
We just swept the Guardians, and the Dodgers still tied with us
because they're just so pesky, bro. They always with us, so no matter what. So annoying.
Yeah, they're just like that friend that never goes away. They're just like always by your side.
Alone, just let us shine. But yeah, they're 7-2 as well. Mickey Mouse competition. Except, I mean, they were. Who'd they play? Oh yeah, they've swept two games in a row though. 2 series in a row. They swept the Twins. 2 game set in Minnesota, and then came home and swept the Reds in a 4 game set. So
they struggled versus the Denver or the Colorado Rockies though.
Yeah,
Connor Joe.
They've been the surprise of this season so far. CJ Cron leads the league in home runs with 5. He's balling out. Chris Bryant's been good. Connor Joe's been good. Ryan McMahon's been good. Starting rotation's been surprisingly good, but we know like Herman Marquez is capable of, and then the Padres are in 4th. They don't look that bad, but I hope they stay here. If this is what, obviously I'd rather have the Dodgers in last, but if this is what plays out like this, I won't be too mad.
As much as the Rockies, I would love to see them do well. Once May 1st hits, they're gonna fall back to earth. I'm gonna be real with y'all.
Yeah,
they're not gonna make it far.
In the 60 game season, I'm pretty sure they started off like 11-2 or something, and they're like, "Oh, is this are they a contender?" And then I don't think they made the playoffs.
The Mariners did too.
They did it every year. They did it last year too. They always start hot, and they fall off.
Good for them. I mean, imagine we have a 4-man, that'd be crazy. Just a 4-head series now, or division. I mean, the D-backs are the last stop.
Yeah, because the Rockies came out of nowhere and it started hot. So, D-backs suck, but it's expected. They have a bunch of nobodies.
I just love the MLB being back, man. Just watching the Giants every day, who do really well, and watching the highlights of all the games at night. Great times.
Yeah. So, 4 game set against the Mets.
The Giants are where I am.
1 random game in Milwaukee, and then we have to fly all the way home to play the next day.
Yeah, it's tough. Basically, all those games that were originally set for the start of the year, if you don't know, are all being rescheduled, but randomly, spontaneously throughout the season. So we just it was a Brewer series and a Padres series. So we're going to be playing like 1 game sets versus the Brewers and Padres randomly throughout the season.
Yeah, and we don't play the Dodgers until May 3rd, but we should. I think this could be a little sweep fest right here. Even though the Athletics are playing good baseball, but we pretty much have back to back. We play the Nats 6 games in like 8
Yeah,
like
we are.
games. We played 6 out of 9 against the Nats, and they're
And
pretty bad. So
we're getting the New York trip done early this year. So
yeah, we are. I'm kind of scared of the Mets. They look good. Tyler McGill versus Alex Cobb tomorrow. But then, oh shoot,
it's Webb on
we've Web
Tuesday.
Rodon, so we're chilling.
Yeah.
But
Well, Carlos
Disco
Rodon's been great.
Day is not so much a party though. I mean, I'm just shaking in my seat every time he throws the ball.
He's 2-0 somehow though. When he starts, the team's 2-0.
Yeah, it's true. And
All
we're
right.
1 when Rodon starts, and he's much better.
We'll see you guys though. Good MLB talk.
That was wrap up episode 62 of Serious Sports Talk. It was a good one. We did top 10 mock draft. We did NBA playoffs so far, and we did MLB so far. So pretty good episode. We covered a lot. And I'll see you guys Tuesday and Thursday before our next episode on Sunday. Peace.
Bye.